Hey, what up, team? It's Joe Mill here with Killer Miller Q. We back at it again for another good cook. Today, we're gonna be basically doing the prime rib of pork. That's right. If you ain't never heard of that, that's basically the bone-in pork loin. We will not do the crown of pork, but I guarantee you're gonna like this. I'm not gonna hold you. Let's get to the work. Cut that music. You got a chance to see that finished product. I need to show you how we got there. Let's go on back. All right, team, it's bright and early, and let's get into some of this old pork trim. Couple things before I get this baby out the package that I will bring your attention to. When I came across this thing, it was super cheap. I caught it right a little bit after Easter, walking through in Costco, and literally couldn't leave it alone on the table. $1.99 a pound. This whole thing, even though it's almost 7 pounds, or at least 6.5 pounds, 13 bucks. So we're gonna have us some good eating for a little bit of nothing. This is basically nothing but your prime rib of the pork that we're looking at. I can tell you right now, we got some good looking marbling, and I know that I'm gonna have a little bit of work to do on this bones. That's why we up early. Hold tight, let me get this out the pack. Okay, there it is. We got it rinsed off, got it patted dry. Let's take a peek at it. First thing I can tell you is if you don't know anything about this old pork loin bone-in roast, you should. This ain't nothing but your baby backs right there. And then pretty much looking at your pork loin sitting right on top of it. So if you look from the side, turn it this way, it might look familiar. Nothing but a good old-fashioned pork chop. Basically, you got a row of pork chops, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna treat this almost like some ribs. Pretty much a lot like we did on our pork loin video. And you know what? I'll make sure this was one that we did a long time ago. I'll link that here in a minute so you can check that out if you haven't. Man, we did a bacon wrap pork loin. It was one of the early videos. And why I didn't get a ton of shots and I was a lot lower in subscribers then, man, that came out good. I have to do that again, actually. I'm going to link that one in here just so you can check it out while we're looking at pork. But we're going to get rid of this membrane, just like a rack of ribs. And other than that, we got a little work to do. Oh yeah, look at that. You can see some good marbling. I want to expose more of that. I want to get rid of, and trust me, this is totally an optional step. You'll see a lot of people that just want to score this and they like to keep it on there. I'm going to bring this down so I can get a little bit closer in contact with my meat, with my seasonings and rubs. And then other than that, you see these bones here. Once we expose some of this fat back right here, we're going to French these bones, in which they've already kind of started for us, which is just going to be clean up this stuff in the middle of them a little bit so they be exposed, and maybe try to scrape off a little bit of this extra excess fat that's here on the sides hanging over. So basically we're going to make it pretty. Give me a sec. Yeah, just like that. We got these babies done. Check out this little bit of fat we got over here. Most of it, now this one here I remember, sitting right on top of a nice globule of fat, so kind of like a false cap. A lot of like membrane and that type of material under there, silver skin and stuff. So like we always talk about, find you a nice long strand, point that knife curved up, right? And in that way, once I get a hold of it, I cut me a little bit out, I pull the fat up, and then from there, cut right on through. And you shouldn't get too much meat. I mean, if you do gouge into it, just come backwards, but I mean, for the most part, this is all stuff I'm willing to part with, and stuff that I didn't want on my roast here. So we can go crazy forever Frenching them bones. I done woke up the dead with all these flies and everything now. They know what time it is. So you could French them bones more than that. I'm pretty good with it. Once you get going and start cooking, a lot of that's going to render right out too. And other than that, we pull the membrane off. We flip it around so you can see the other side. And we got rid of the majority of that silver skin there. Now as I kind of just brace my hand over it, I like to make sure this thing's nice and smooth. There's no pieces that's sticking out or pokey, nothing like that. And you get like a nice little seam line here of usually fat and a little bit of that silver skin. So I'll get some of that out, but I didn't want to chase that too deep in there and create a division. And then also I took back a little bit of this fat here, but I didn't want to take the chance of losing this whole piece. So we're going to let that part ride out. And then of course, Frenching them bones here on the front end too. So this is what we're looking like. I'm gonna clean this board up a little bit. Next thing you know, we about to season this puppy up. All right, so for today, we're gonna be using one of my favorites. Good old Malcolm Reed over there with Killer Hogs. Love this combination on pork. Been trying some different things, but at the end of the day, this is always a winner for me. So pretty much what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with a nice light coat of AP. I'm not going with no binder. We're going straight on. Get a little bit on them bones at the end of the day. That's just going to make them a little more succulent. I'm going to go ahead and flip this baby over. And I want to do the exact same thing on the bone side. Nothing too crazy. Got people doing yard work, so forgive me. Okay, don't want to go too crazy with that AP. Just enough to really get a nice solid coat on there. This is a thick piece of meat, but we got some things in store for it, so I don't got to go too crazy to get it seasoned up. From there, we're coming right over the top heavy with this The Barbecue rub. It's going to give it an absolutely beautiful color. This has got a little sweetness to it, but this is a great rub on pork. One of my absolute favorites. I try to make sure when I'm doing pork for y'all, I don't end up doing this on the same thing, just so we can try some variations, and there's always another rub that I like, but at the end of the day, this right here is where it's at. I'm gonna let this hang out and flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, now we back over. And let's hit this Killer Hogs, The Barbecue rub on the pretty side. Let's get us a nice coat. You know, we want to always finish on the presentation side, so that way when we let it set up, everything's sitting on here nice. I already took the liberty, a little bit on them bones, a little bit on them bones, nice cover. I took the liberty already trying to clean up my board a little bit, if you can see. Patted it down on both of the outsides as well as the bottom. And then once I go ahead and pick this thing up, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it one more time. The hard work is done. I'm gonna let this hang out for just a quick second while I go grab the saran wrap. I'm gonna wrap this baby up and I'll see y'all back in approximately 5 hours. Okay, and here it is, already up to room temp after it's come out the fridge, after it's been all nice and wrapped in this saran wrap and put to sleep for about the last 4.5 hours or so. I can already tell, and I started to make sure I went ahead and brought this up to temp inside versus bringing this outside. We're not cooking that long. I want to make sure, I mean, when it's 100 degrees plus out here, that I'm not already cooking my meat just sitting out here, and I'm only looking to end up, before I start making some adjustments, taking this to only about 135 or so before we start doing other stuff to it. So I get there too quick, long story short, and I want to make sure I get some smoke and some good color. So I'm about to cut through this thing, and then I'll kind of go with you over a couple things that we're gonna do. I want to French these bones. Actually, they're already French, but I want to actually cover them a little bit so they stay pretty, and then we'll talk about exactly how we're gonna cook this thing. All right, now you know exactly what we did. Now you know how we got here. Only thing that I've done, I saved one so I could see you, was basically I cut some small strips of aluminum foil, and then we're gonna take that, and then basically what I did was I put that over the bones. This is totally an optional step. I'm doing it to be pretty. I want to make sure that these bones don't burn up, so I'll take this off more or less about halfway, and I'm just gonna give it a little bit of protecting, but nothing that you got to do. It doesn't change your cook at all. So now let's talk about our game plan. I call it a game plan for just that reason. When you're cooking, you never know what's gonna happen, so you got to treat each cook like it's on. But I'll tell you what I plan on doing. I'm gonna try to keep these temperatures low, which like I tell you every week, it's a struggle out here with 100 degrees plus out. So what I've learned is I don't have to put a whole lot of wood in there, and then I usually are gonna start hot. Right now I think my temp is kind of around 300, but once I get this cold meat in here, I'll be able to put it in and just let it go. It'll drop down slowly but surely eventually, and I won't add any wood to it until I actually get down to around 225 or something. So really I'll be down to just a couple of coals. I'll put that wood in for a minute and leave that door open, and that'll give it time to fully catch. That way I keep nothing but clean smoke in here on this pork. At the end of the day, I'm gonna get what I want. Don't you worry about that. So this is what we're gonna do. Like I said, I'm gonna put the biggest side more or less towards the firebox, and my little sweet spot, which I found is kind of more or less towards where the actual smoke goes out and through. And I'm gonna put the biggest side going that way. We're gonna be taking this thing up to about 135 internal. I know we need to get to at least 145. We're gonna have some carryover, plus I got some things that I plan on doing. I'm gonna end up cutting me off a couple of these chops. I want to sear a couple of these babies, and I'm gonna be using this Mr. B's #2. I'm gonna step it up on the hurricane level. If you remember when I used that Mr. B's before on that American Caribou pork, I had those ribs. We had the original. It had a great taste, a little bit of kick. This one here is gonna be a little bit hotter. It should give me a little spice on this loin. So while I'm fighting off these flies, the other thing I'm gonna do is get this meat stick X all warmed up. I'm gonna be inserting that right in between the bones here, right in the middle of this loin, and that's how I'm gonna keep up with my temp. Hold tight, we're going to the pit. All right, we got it all queued up. We starting to drop down a little bit. Meat stick X is in there. We're gonna let this baby go to sleep. I'll bring you back in about an hour. Night night, little baby. All right, team. We are at an hour and 5 minutes. Check out that baby. Still got a good ways to go. We was only at, I believe it was just 119 on the inside. So, like I said, I'm coming all the way up to 135 is my plan. And then I'm gonna do some slicing. We're gonna do some salsa, and then we'll get back on there, take this thing up to temp, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sear me off a couple of them babies over here on the rack. So that's my game plan. I'm gonna give them just a little bit of juice so we don't overly dry out. So, and my spritzer, I can't find my other one. I'm using 50-50 apple cider vinegar and apple juice. So that way I shouldn't have to worry about it too much burning. Give it a little something so it don't dry out completely. And we're gonna let this baby keep rocking as is. And I'll bring you back. All right, team, we've been riding. It's been an hour and 36 minutes in. My temps was actually just flaring up on me a little bit. I hit it with a little bit of splash of the spritz, but I need to come back and I had to grab my utensil. I used my Blackstone spatula, I can get up under there, to handle most of the meat. It just makes it a little bit easier, even though it's not easy one-handed. I want to rotate this thing, and I'm gonna get that a little bit of splash on that side too. One thing too that I want to make sure I told you, the last time we was in here, right after I cut the video, the one thing that I did do was I went ahead and took off the aluminum foil that I had down there covering those. I figured I got me a good hour in solid, so I'm not too mad for it to go the rest of the way. They shouldn't get too dark on me. I'm registering at about 130, 131. I haven't checked it with my Thermopro pen, but we'll check it out in a little bit. I'm gonna let it keep getting some more color. I just wanted to give it a rotate and also break this temperature since I've been flaring up, but I'll catch you in a minute. Yes. 2 hours exactly. I wanted to push for this time, so I'm happy that we was able to get here. I really wanted to get at least 2 hours of smoke and didn't want to rush it too much. I like some of the little things that I did, but we're gonna see how it come out on the back end as far as like I said, being out here and being the fact that it's so hot. You see the stage? Having my meat outside, it was getting way too warm too early. I want all my cooking to happen in the pit, and more or less just bringing up the room temp in the house. So that allowed me to get a little bit more cooking time. Got my 2 hours of smoke. I was able to keep my temps down, so my little technique has been working, which I've been playing around with. And like always, baby, we always keep that clean smoke. That's all I believe in. So pretty much now I pumped it up a little bit, but it's telling me, yes, look at that color. Let me pull out, hold on, got my little stick to pull my grate out with, get you a little bit in this light. The meat stick X over here, which I tell you what I do love, for a few reasons, and I said that before I do a review on it, I want to use it a few times to kind of really know exactly what's what. But it's one thing to know what's the pit temp. It's another thing to know what's your pit temp wherever your meat is actually placed. Because, I mean, it could be different in one area versus the other. And really being able to see everything direct is kind of great as far as my meat temp and my ambient temperature. So I really like that. And then having it on the phone, I'm a minimalist, so I don't really care too much a lot of times about much. But it is nice to not even have that extra box that I got to worry about. And you always usually got your phone with you, so it's easy to monitor. Bones look great. I'm about to give it a little secondary check. You know, we also a Thermopro ambassador as well. I'll make sure though in these comments you got the link to the Meat Pro, and then you can check out one of the other ones for the Thermopro stuff. Let's see what we got. All right. And the last I had just looked, I was at like 142, but I said I was gonna go ahead and let it go because I was pushing to go ahead and let it get to the 2 hour mark on my smoke, which I'm good with. This is what I'm about to do, because I know what's happening next. You know, we need to carry over to 145. Some people would just pull it out right now and let it be. I'm actually about to pull it out. It's gonna get a half a second to rest while I prep this grill. I need to get rid of this griddle top, which I don't want to take off. For me personally, I didn't want to take it off until I'm actually ready to start cooking on it, just so maybe I ain't letting too much of that heat hit on the top of my vent or top or whatever. So I'm about to get everything prepped up. This will get a check in the chill, and then I'm about to slice me off a couple of chops. We're gonna put a sear on it, and we're gonna cover it up with a little bit of that Hurricane Sweet barbecue. It's gonna be all right. Hold on. Hey team, I wanted to jump in here real quick and let you know I appreciate y'all for following along. And if you are new to the channel, take a quick second, go to that bottom right corner and make sure to subscribe. Take some time after we finish this video to check out the catalog, all the other cooks that you've already missed, and know that there's gonna always be something new coming for you every week. And for everybody else, I appreciate y'all following along. I got nothing but love for you. Follow along with me too on IG with Killer Miller Q with no spaces. And other than that, let's get back to the work. As we are transitioning, let me give you a couple little quick little fire management tips from my man James over there, and just in general working this old pit. So like I was just telling you, I wanted to get that plate off. If you're gonna do that during the cooking, like I said, I like to wait until the very end to actually take mine off instead of knowing that I'm gonna take it off and then not having it on there for the whole cook just to kind of protect that top. Make sure you got you some welder's gloves. Okay, Ed over there at Grillz Barbecue got me hip to that. I appreciate you, boss. And no, this plate right here is heavy, super heavy, and I'm decently strong. And I'm telling you, this is one of the heaviest things that surprised me on this whole grill is this damn plate right here. This is super heavy, and obviously it's gonna be super hot. So make sure you got somewhere to put it, and make sure you be careful with that. Other than that, I'm gonna bring you over here real quick. We're gonna take a walk with me, talk with me. We're gonna run over here, and I need to put one piece of wood in there. You might have saw my fire was pretty empty. So I need to get a little something on here because I'm about to sear me a pork chop. And it's crazy that I'm at the point where I actually look at all of this stuff. It matters which log I choose right now. I don't need that much wood. We don't got that much left on this cook, and I don't want to get it up too high because I'm about to put some barbecue sauce on here. I got this pecan wood, which is what we're more or less using over here. I got a little bit of oak over in this corner and a little bit of mesquite up here in the front of my house. But I'm just looking for a nice light. There we go. This one right here gonna work out perfect. Something basic. Not too big, not too heavy. And we're gonna use that to kind of kick off this sear and to finish this cook off. All right, all right. I wanted to give you that little bit of fire management tip. I left my door open. That log is caught on fire nicely. But just something that I learned over time. And in the beginning, when I first kind of heard that stuff about looking at the logs, feeling the temperature, the weight of them and things like that, I really didn't even care about it. I always thought about nothing but mops and rubs and tricks and stuff like that. But truthfully, that fire management was really going to bring you home a good product overall. So you got an up close view. As I told you, we've been playing with this thing to try to get you in here closer to check out. This loin looks great. Like you saw, I was pretty much at about 142. If I left it, it'll probably damn near carry over to the 145 that I want, but I'm not quite done with this baby. So it's gonna get a little bit of time out here. It's already been sitting for a minute, but what I wanna do is we're gonna cut us a couple bones so you're gonna get a chance to check this thing out. We're gonna see if I can do this without messing up the cut. All right, we didn't touch nothing. This has sat a little bit, not as long as I would normally would let it sit. I can tell you one thing, like always, that Lone Star has given us a smoke ring. I'm gonna let you see it before we sauce it. One more. Come on. Come on. Let's see if I can bring that in there and let you see where we at. You see that smoke ring going around there? I tell you what, them flies smell that smoke ring. They smell the smoke ring, and they see it. Put that back to the side before I mess up my beautiful one. But I mean, this bark is set, right? These is all looking good over here. So the one thing, and we used this before, you can get a close view of it. I got this Mr. B's Sweet Hurricane Heat. This time I'm gonna be using, if you can see the top of it, the number 2. So like a hurricane, this thing goes up in heat. So this one should have a little bit of pop to it. So we're gonna see how this go. Pretty much what I'm finna do right now is we're gonna get ready to sauce these 2 chops that I just cut, but then I'm also gonna go ahead, we're gonna get ready to sear these 2 chops that I cut, but I'm about to go ahead and sauce this main loin that I got. I moved my Meat Stick X over a little bit, so now I'm in the center of this rack. I'm about to sauce this baby, and while I'm searing these, I'm actually gonna put this back on there to let my sauce set, and I'll monitor until I get up to 145. All right, I'm gonna bring you back in just a second. Or you know what, we can take care of some of this right now. But there we go. We're gonna get this baby nice and sauced up. This sauce is already warm, so you can see it's nice and loose. That's perfect. I'm not gonna even touch it. I'm gonna leave it just like that. Maybe I hit them bones a little bit. I always remind y'all, put a little sauce, a little bit of seasoning on them bones, knowing good and well you be sucking on them on the back end. Yes, yes, we got them transitioned on in there. Look at that nice little pretty smoke ring on there. I'm going for 1 minute, and then I'm gonna flip them right to the other side and give them a minute, and we're gonna see how we look. If I need some more char, I'm gonna give them another minute on the other side and then flip it back, and we'll keep working it back and forth till I got me about where I want. At this point, these are where I'm gonna taste. These are what I want to eat. You know they're already gonna be done, so you're good to go. I like leaving this top open. That way I can go ahead and be able to easily keep an eye on them, but then also I don't let this thing flare up too much, and I can also let some of this come up there and kiss it. Now this was actually a little hot. Oh, that's a beautiful color. That was that bark outside. And a little bit of char on that one. So basically all I'm doing is giving these a little bit of char off. These my personal, my taste tester, all that good stuff. And then I'm gonna hit them with a little bit of that barbecue sauce, and I'm gonna let them sit on in there and set too. Let's give them a minute on this side, we'll take another look. All right, I'm good. I just sauced that baby on one side. Let's take a peek in here. Meat sticks is showing we good. Oh yes, that looks beautiful. We're gonna get this up out of here. Let's bring y'all over. Hot bone. Hot bone, hot bone. We got this. Okay, I gotta give my finger a second. All right, hot bone. Ooh, switch hands. Hot bone, hot bone. Bam. Man, that sauce. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish saucing this side now. Give it a little bit of this color. Throw a little bit of this extra flavor on there. At the end of the day, they didn't sear off too hard. Could have went a little heavier, but at the end, it would have got it pretty dried out. So I ain't really want to go there. I just want to kiss it a little bit with the flame. Just a little bit. I could have left this over there and let it get this last little bit of char bite with the flame right under it. And then my luck, I might have messed around and got it too dark at the last minute. So I'm gonna keep it pretty. I'm gonna let these babies hang out for just a second. There we go, and get you down there. Hit that bone. We all looking good. You about to come out. We're gonna put a fresh glaze on you, bring you out, let it chill, and that's gonna be a showpiece. You see it. Hey. Let me make sure none of these flies get around here. They know this is on the table. We got this thing done, if you can't see. Check these babies out. My bones didn't get too dark. This color on here is beautiful. This it's number 2 on this Sweet Hurricane is beautiful, smooth as ever. Only thing left is we about to flip this around and we're gonna taste this baby. Check this thing out. Woo! Hey, we got this thing done, team. It took us roughly about 2.5 hours once you threw in the time that this thing needed to rest. I had to sauce it and everything else, but this looks absolutely beautiful. You got a chance to see it. I'm hyped to see it, or I'm hyped to taste it. The Meat Stick X, it came in great again. I'm really liking that thing. Like I said, it's nice being able to know exactly what's my grill temp, where I place my meat, and then also being able to know my ambient temperature along with my inside temperature at all times. It just makes life a lot easier. Seared these babies off as we kind of review over the cook. I started off cooking with a little bit of a little bit of mesquite wood when I first started. I wanted to start with a strong wood to at least get my cold bed, knowing that I wasn't gonna cook with it long term, but that way if I didn't get that much smoke in on this baby, I wanted to make sure that I got a little something that you can actually taste. So started with a little bit of that mesquite, moved over to my normal pecan, and at the end of the day, you see what we got. The flies is all over me. Big shout out to my guy Larry Brazo over here from the TOL with this Sweet Hurricane Heat barbecue sauce. This number 2, which is supposed to be a little bit hotter. It's got a little more heat, but it's just as smooth as the first one. So at the end of the day, I really can't even tell. It's all good with me. I'm loving this. Let's get into it before my flies get to it before me. I'm going for the one with a little bit of bark and all of this good char that I put on there. Oh, yes. Mr. Malcolm Reed, is it how to do barbecue right? Never can go wrong using those 2 rubs on pork. It's one of my go-tos. AP, followed by that The Barbecue Sauce. Hey, let me tell you something. We doing this every week. So if you didn't know, make sure that you tune in next week. Killer Miller Q, Black Smoke Barbecue. We got a big interview coming up here soon, a little bit after my birthday. Y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.